Good morning, good morning, good morning. So you're going to hear, you'll hear a little music in the background because I believe it's a little bit louder than usual today. Hey, good morning, Deborah. And my AirPods are actually almost dead. My son decided to wake up at 4 a.m. today. So I've just been working ever since. He's actually pretty cool. Like he'll sit on my lap and we'll work. And so it's really odd. It's 10 in the morning and I have stuff to do, but like not as much as I thought I had to do. So that's kind of cool. All right, so let's kind of get into it. Rhino is close to 81,000 now, a new all-time high. So that's good. It's going in the right direction. So something really actually, Terry, hey, what's up? So something actually quite funny that I want to share with you. So I was speaking to one of our rhinos yesterday and responding to an email and just sharing, at least from my perception, what Rhino is, right? In terms of, if you were going to take a look at Rhino in terms of a business and take a look at everything it's done to where it is today, if you started measuring metrics, you would see that not only have they peaked a little bit, but they've kind of become a little less exciting. And when I was thinking about that, I was like, well, we haven't even begun selling anything. Like we haven't actually done the business side of stuff yet. In fact, the business of Rhino is still ahead of it. And it kind of dawned on me what Rhino is. It's actually just kind of like a platform where a lot of like minds have gotten together, and every metric, everything is not symbolic of a business at all. It's just symbolic of the passion of the people that are involved. And when you start measuring, how do you measure passion of people? Well, then every metric of Rhino is actually quite exciting, because if you could take a look and say, well, you have all these reoccurrings every week, you have this, you have that, the average is this, the average is that. Well, what is anyone really getting in return? In fact, when we finished the pilot project and did a bit of a case study on it, we found that the majority of Rhino doesn't even plan on, they're not even thinking about selling their Rhino probably for another 3 to 5 years. So in that respect, it's really just everyone that's come together and said, listen, we all have a shared vision. We want this to succeed, and we're all doing our part to make sure that happens. And when you go ahead and take that, for instance, and you measure it, well, anything above 0 is very positive, because that's all no obligation, no one's getting anything in return. It's just everyone expressing their passion. And whenever you have people that express their passion on a weekly recurring level at such a degree, it's really, really impressive. Now, the question then becomes, well, okay, well, great, you have that. What does that mean? And it doesn't really mean much if you look at it the wrong way, but it means a whole lot if you're able to harness and duplicate what that is. And if you're able to look at it and say, okay, this is the behavior of those when they're in Rhino. Okay, great. So how do we increase the number of people that are in Rhino, and how do we go ahead and create something that is going to be able to reward that behavior? Because no behavior is infinite. And that's where we decided, okay, you know what? We understand what's going on. Let's go ahead and create RHINOHUB. And RHINOHUB is a completely free platform where we're actually going to be doing job placement, because we're going to be the ones hiring the people. We're going to do all the work, get the contracts, get the hours, get you certified, and we're going to hire you. We're going to be the one that's going to guarantee your work. We're going to be the one that steps in and helps you, supports you, to make sure that you're doing it correctly. If it's too much for you, moving you somewhere else, partnering you with someone. All in the pursuit that in 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, there's only so many times you can do the same thing over again before you realize, hey, I know how to do this, right? And if we're able to do all of that and effectively bring you from, well, I really don't like my job, it's low paying, I'm going to be replaced, all the way to I have a fantastic career, fantastic income working from home and among people that I like. Because again, remember, what is the behavior of those when they're in Rhino? So if Rhino is kind of when people are in Rhino, they're super duper duper excited, then why don't we keep people in Rhino? And the way to keep people in Rhino is we'll hire them within Rhino, and we'll build the support structure within Rhino. So the question then becomes, okay, well, I guess that could work, right? I guess people would like that. I think people would like, at the very least, they would be curious enough to go ahead and say, all right, fine. What do I have to lose? This is free. You're promising me all this stuff. Let's go. Let's do it, right? Why not? Okay. Well, once they're in Rhino, again, we understand the behavior of them, but how does Rhino become a business? Like it's still, at the end of the day, Rhino still needs to make money. And the unique proposition of Rhino is not that the money is being made so that I or stockholders can have it. The unique portion of Rhino is the fact that the money is being made so it could go directly into the Rhino bucks, which everybody owns. Now, everyone owns different amounts of it, but that's almost commensurate with their net worth, right? So somebody that has more than somebody else is able to own more. But that doesn't mean that the one that has less is going to make less. They'll make the same percentage. And it's just, it's a setup that everyone gets to prosper from. So, but again, where's the business of it, right? So as of right now, we were paying our Salesforce agency $165 an hour. There's over 9,000 active positions right now that will pay you $100,000 working remotely. So if you get to work remotely for $100,000, how much does that come out to an hour? It's about like 120, 130, somewhere over there. And if that's the case, hey, thanks. Are you on my live right now? That's so funny. That was my wife. And if that's the case, well, then would people be happy with $100 an hour? Would they be happy with $90 an hour? Again, coming through exactly the system that we set up. And I think the answer is yes, because the alternative is, well, you know, I'm working this job I don't like for $20, $25, $30 an hour. In fact, my wife's friend posted online yesterday, I found this job at 18 an hour and almost want to keep it to myself. And again, being sarcastic, because 18 an hour is fairly low. But just that's what's out there. And in fact, the unemployment numbers came out today and they ticked higher for the first time. The best is behind us. The Federal Reserve, in the pursuit to lower inflation, is on a mission to cool down the economy, which is a really nice way of saying increasing unemployment. Because the problem that the economy had was that because inflation was moving so high, and because companies were forced to hire as many people as possible because they were just reopening, that the leverage was borne by the worker. We were able to say, no, I want 20 an hour. No, I want 22 an hour. I'll leave you and go there for 24 an hour. And the problem is when you hire someone, they're on contract. You can't just, hey, I offered you 26, but you know, now I'm going to give you 24. It doesn't work like that. And you could have a cynical point of view, but it's probably true that big corporations and went to the Federal Reserve like, hey, listen, I can't afford to hire labor this high, so you need to do something or you're out of a job. And you know, that's neither here nor there. But the point of the story is wages are going lower, and that's kind of the short version of what I just said is wages are going lower, unless you're in a career that is in the middle of a gold rush. Unless you're in a career that's going to be the next decade. So when you're talking about careers like that, it's all AI related. You know, driverless cars, augmented reality, CRM, like stuff like that. And now what Salesforce has done with Einstein GPT, and again, we're in Salesforce, right? Like that's the bet we're making, which is why I'm talking about Salesforce even further. Because the one thing that I always thought would be the most amazing value to a company is, like, for instance, when we're with Salesforce and our email list is like 125,000 people, right? Now the data that we collect is only from our email list. So for instance, if I want to know what's the best time to email whatever, like if I want to know an answer that revolves a big demographic, well, I'm pretty hostage to my email list because maybe my email list doesn't have that demographic. And maybe my email list is completely responsive to me, right? Like my email list probably acts differently than someone else's email list. The point being, well, if I could work with a company that was able to apply the data of their entire platform, right? Like, so Salesforce has, I think, 180 billion transactions a day. Do you think with that size and scale that they have data that could be really valuable to anyone? Well, the answer is yes. But there's a thing called data security, right? Like I can't go ahead and say, hey, you know, what's FedEx's data look like? I want it. You can't do that. But what their AI allows them to do, because it's agnostic, it's not a person, it's able to synthesize that data, then make calculations, then use those calculations to apply going forward. So what it'll do for our emails once we implement it is everything will be done in accordance to real-time best practices as measured by the entire scale of the world. Now that sounds big, and it is big. But the point being, do you think a business will make greater sales, have a higher retention, and be able to spend less on labor if they were able to acquire that? And of course, the answer is yes, right? So where is the jobs going to be? It's going to be in building that bigger and bigger, because what I just described to you exists right now. It's done, it exists. Now it's about how to make it better. And the only way to make it better is to be in business or be in a career path that is aligned with these industries that are reinventing the world over the next 10 years. So the point being, when we're talking about Salesforce, well, if we go ahead and collect those contracts, which I'm going to get them, right? And then I'm able to go ahead and assign them out to individuals that got certified along the way. Well, now you're making $90, $100 an hour on the hours that we assign out to you. Now, of course, say you're not, you're having a difficult time with it, or it's not working very well, we can partner people up in 50 an hour. And of course, we're gonna have to do some management of this, but the point being that's there. Now, if we're able to do that, and again, if is such a big word, but this is all very probable stuff because it's all right in front of us. It's just a matter of executing. Now, let's say you are able to do it $90 an hour, $100 an hour, but we're actually billing out at $120 an hour, $130 an hour, $115 an hour. RHINO will make $20 per hour per person, meaning you come in through RHINO, you participate in the job placements, you get certified, you're collecting $100 an hour for 10 hours in a week, right? Like, let's say we have 10 hours to give you. RHINO's now netting $200 on you, which means before you even join RHINO Bucks, before you join RHINO Wealth, before you join RHINO Email, before you join anything, your average amount is $200 a week to RHINO. Well, I think we'll do that with more than one person, right? So let's say we have 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. How big of an agency can RHINO grow into? Can RHINO grow into a 20-person agency? Let's say each person is $20 an hour, 10 hours a week, 200 times 20 comes out to, well, 200 times 20 comes out to 4,000, I think, 4,000 a week. So for just 20 people, RHINO will have 4,000 a week in extra revenue. That revenue all goes to RHINO Bucks. Everything goes to RHINO Bucks. And again, the way RHINO Bucks is built, and I can't stress this enough, it's scaled. So when you go ahead and continue purchasing RHINO Bucks, there's a less supply. Now, of course, you can't tell now because the supply is like 900 million or something, right? But once that starts going, the supply starts depleting pretty quickly because, again, everyone that's in it continues to be in it, and everyone that's new in it adds to them, so it just exponentially gets larger. When the day comes that there is no more left and everyone is forced to buy on the market, and the only people that own it are existing holders, and you're forced to buy it at market price, but 86% of people don't want to sell it, that's when all the true magic happens. So again, we're just building up to that, but along the way, we're going to be quite a strong business. And the question also then becomes, well, when someone's in RHINO, we know how people are and when they're RHINO, we know their behavior. All right, say they don't want to be in the Salesforce thing. What do you got then? Does anyone truly believe that we won't have solutions for new things, that we won't find ways to go ahead and benefit everyone? You see, we have a search engine. It's no small feat to own your own search engine. And of course, it has to be populated and blah, blah, blah that goes with that. But don't kid yourself. I could make the decision tomorrow to say, you know what, we're not going to self-populate it anymore. We're going to head and just populate it by collecting data and saying, okay, we want all the data for all the small businesses and we're going to put them on this. And then we're going to email them and tell them you're on this. If you don't want to be on it, let us know. Now, of course, that's not plan A, right? And of course, we believe RHINO Street can be populated on its own because it's within RHINOHUB and it's a natural place for it, right? I'm building a business, I'm starting a business, let me list on a site. But there are so many levers we can pull. And yeah, we never wanted, we're never going to sell ads and marketing and the rest on Rhino Street. But would I go ahead and allow someone to be a number one listing if they went ahead and made a donation to Rhino Bucks? Probably. And it's not because it's benefiting me, it's benefiting everyone. So is there a path that, and again, not Fortune 500, like a local business can go ahead and participate larger in Rhino and go ahead and be a number one listing as a result? Is there a path where somebody could say, hey, listen, can you do an email promo for my company? And I'll, put 5,000 to Rhino Bucks right now? Yeah, of course there is. There's a bazillion paths that this works. So I think the point I just want to get across is where we are today is mostly behind the curtain. There's so much being built that when it comes out, boom. And it's all neatly being placed. I can assure you that a lot of work is being done to make sure that everything fits exactly where it needs to be. Because when we actually turn the lever and press the button, which we've never done before, it's going to be special. But actually, that wasn't the point of what I was trying to get at, and I'll let you go with this. Do you remember how yesterday I was sharing that the one Rhino that ended up selling all of his position, the 892 coin or whatever? And I said jokingly, the last couple of days I've noticed it, and I was like, oh, drip, 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 100 here, 100 there. But I hope the person just sells it all. Like, why not? Rip the Band-Aid off. And then yesterday I commented, well, I don't think the person sold because I said that. It's just a coincidental thing. Well, the individual actually emailed me after the live and said, oh my God, Anthony, I haven't been on a live in a while. I didn't even know you were talking about me. And actually started to apologize. I'm so sorry for selling it. I should have ran it by you first. I know this isn't in the spirit of Rhino. Something came up in life and, some other stuff. And I immediately said, you don't ever have to apologize. It's a market. You can buy and sell at your own discretion. No one needs my permission. And the point he was just trying to get across, which I want to share with you, is that when you go ahead and measure Rhino, in what world, in what stock market, in what crypto market does anyone actually feel that they have a certain sense of obligation to disclose that they're going to sell something so that everyone can be prepared so that no one gets hurt? And that's the point that I want to share with you, that no one has obligation to me for that. But to this day, no one's ever sold a large amount without sharing it with me. And I simply just said to him, I go, well, I kind of wish you shared with me because I could have helped you sell it, right? Like if you could have done it at a relatively consistent pace, you would have got a much higher price than, I think he eventually sold it. It was like 212 when we're over 221 right now. In which case, if anyone even said to me, Anthony, well, I need it today, I would probably give someone the money and then I would sell it off little by little because that's Rhino, So I just want to share that today. We have a long day. I have taxes in 12 minutes that I have to do, which are like probably why I don't look like, well, I've been up since 4 a.m. with my son, but it's probably why I look a little bit less fun today. But I just want to let you know, there's a lot happening. That's really all I have. I think I'm actually getting a little tired. And again, maybe because I was up at 4 a.m, but I said to my wife the other day, I go, I feel like I work a whole lot and I have nothing to show for it. And she goes, well, you continually keep building stuff and you keep thinking you want to make it better and better without ever releasing it. And I go, well, that's the only way we can do something as big as we want to do it. You can't get half pregnant with this, right? Like it's all in a scaling sense. Like, okay, if we do this, then what's going to be the behavior on that side? We better make sure we have that ready because if this happens, we need to have this. And at this moment, we need to do this. And it's going to be really, really fantastic. So we're here. So I love everyone. Have a really great weekend. I will see you tomorrow. And for those that I owe K1s, I think that's K1s too. I'm doing like I sent all my forms over, and from 10:30 to 11 we'll be doing them. I don't imagine that means they're going to be done today. So I will send out an email, but there's a couple of hundred on right now. Many of you are those people, not those people, right? But those the K1s will be sent out by Monday in that case, right? So just letting you know what's happening. Okay, well, I love everyone, and I'll see you.